get him, go get him. All right, up, 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 up. What's up, you guys? Forrest here with the FoCo Flow Show, and hopping right into the action today, where we are at the VHS race here in Blue Ridge School in St. George, Virginia, right outside of Charlottesville, and we are excited to highlight all of the awesome experiences that we've had here racing for Charlottesville Racing Club, the junior MTB team, and getting things started here in a big way. It's an awesome place to ride, and you've seen some of my videos of the enduro race, the Moonshiner, that we did last week together, Forrest and I, and now we're back here racing with the smaller but also technical XC course. It's going to combination of some gravel and then some really tight and technical single track, the lower sections, Chelsea Creek and Twin Lakes. This is definitely one of the more technical trails that we're going to ride, with lots of narrow and rocky single track with some tough creek crossings and not a ton of places to pass. You'll see there the parking's pretty easy up on campus, and then once you get connected to your parking spot, you can take your rider down to the normal tents that you're used to seeing. Once you unload, and make sure that you pay attention to where we're going, don't get run over by the cars, because there's a lot of cross traffic getting from there over to the area where we're going to get lined up, and across the beautiful campus area that lets you see where the course starts. If you're going to spectate this course, you're going to probably want to bring a bike, which is true of most of the trails that we are racing at. There's a couple of areas, if you know the Blue Ridge School trail system pretty well, where you can get up in there and see some other places for your rider to ride. Otherwise, the start-finish line is, of course, the normal place to get started to cheer your favorite rider on. As far as the course itself, you can kind of see us getting started here with another funnel area that loads all of the riders up for the major wave and start. And just like most of the races that we've seen, there's going to be quite the log jam, and Forrest found out the hard way that you've really got to pay attention when you're getting off the blocks, so to speak, and to watch for the melee that will ensue if you're starting anywhere other than the first maybe 10% of the rider waves. From there, you are going to hop around campus and hop into some more open field areas. So just bear in mind here, where you've got some more open double track and grass trails here, this is another place to look to pass, or I guess technically your first place to pass in the first lap. And as you're coming out of laps 1, 2, or 3, depending upon how many you're racing, you've got a chance to pass there before you hop right into Chelsea Creek. Chelsea Creek is the majority of what this trail system composes of, that in Twin Lakes. Chelsea Creek is really flowy and rolly, and overall it's got a lot of easy trail connecting systems to it, so that you can stay on the gas pedaling, even though there is some punchy climbs in between. It doesn't really get too challenging on the uphill side of things until you get to Twin Lakes. In the meantime, you're flowing here. As we look at the video, that is sped up, by the way, so you're not riding quite that fast. You're going to be jockeying for position. There are probably a couple of places that you might be able to pass in certain areas if a rider gets hung up and you've got a cleaner ride that you can ride. But as you finish out the sign you'll see for Bear Hole, which is a different trail that we don't ride, you're going to hang a left and get some rollers and pumps. And this is a really unique area of the trail course. In case you're familiar with Blue Ridge School, you get to come across here. Instead of going straight to Twin Lakes, you actually go across the wood bridge, and of course wash it if it's wet there, and hang a hard left into the Creekside Trail. I think that's its official name. And as you pick across there into that creek crossing, you're actually going to flow back down the direction that you came in parallel to Chelsea Creek. It comes all the way around, and it's really important to know that you're going to come into a little zigzag chicane here in just a second, and into another creek crossing, where it's a good place to make sure that you're maintaining momentum, and then you kind of dig up and out of the gravel there. That is going to allow you to get back up on Chelsea Creek, and you're going to be heading in the opposite direction of what you were just a minute ago, because you've actually kind of cut up and into a different section of that trail completely. So we just saw it there in the video, and then you can kind of see as we dig back up into Chelsea. So again, Chelsea itself is really, really similar, where you're flowing, kind of rolling up and then rolling down, but it's not particularly challenging until you come all the way up to this hard left-hand turn, switch back, as you're definitely gaining elevation onto Twin Lakes. Twin Lakes is the other majority of this trail system, and there's a little side turn that's technically starting the climb up to the Ridgeline Trail, but you don't actually take that. We've got another technical creek crossing right here with lots of rocks to knock you off your line, so pay attention to that. And as you dig across that creek crossing and punch across some really small boulder baby headed rocks, you're definitely going to be maxing out the heart rate if you're trying to hold a position and fend off any early attackers in the race course before you get to where Twin Lakes actually takes a more official hard left-hand turn and hang a left. This is actually the lower portion of that Moonshiner run of stage 5. If you saw that video on my channel from last week, it's got a little bit more elevation, but once you kind of hit those wood bridges here, again, this video is sped up, but it is a mostly downhill, fast and flowy section. And that's the other thing to really know about the Blue Ridge School course, is there are definitely some areas where you can be carrying mega amounts of speed, especially if you're riding well and you're using the rollers and pumps to help you gain momentum. Be aware of some of these spots where you can get a little bit squirrely. If you're racing, again, we talked about it last week, being smooth and riding within your limits is really important. But see here, there's a few jumps that you can take here in the spring VAHS season. Part of this section in Twin Lakes is there's some little bit slightly more technical rock boulder kind of up and overs that you've got to be aware of, and depending upon where you are and how much lap traffic that you're navigating or how many riders that you're in succession with, it could become a place where people get bogged down and you might have to hop off your bike and get around it, or otherwise keep flowing in the same direction without getting hung up on those rocks. Once you pass the kiosk here, which is like a normal 4-way intersection, if you're familiar with Blue Ridge School, you're getting to a section that is still Twin Lakes but called downhill pumps. And this is absolutely a super fun blast to ride, but definitely a place where you can take those rollers and pumps and blast off and get as much air as you want. I'm just not sure that's the best idea here, knowing that you're trying to keep rubber side down, ride through here quickly and efficiently without getting it outside your ability limits, and of course I'm trying to avoid any kind of crashing there. So have fun, ride your race. If you're skilled enough to send them, but recognize that that's an area where you can definitely get into a place that would not end well if you are not on your game. So once you finish all of that, you're going to be flowing around into a really cool transition section where it functions pretty much like a pump track, and you got berms and rollers and pumps to use your arms and legs to carry as much speed as you possibly can. Before you finish through that section, you'll hear some other spectators cheering you on. As you finish out what is the official end of the Twin Lakes, and here you are on the far end of Chelsea Creek. As Chelsea Creek finishes up here, you actually just stay left instead of going out to the right the way you would normally finish a ride at Blue Ridge School if you're familiar. And so you hang that hard left back onto Chelsea Creek, farther on the opposite side, heading back towards that very first creek crossing. And that's what's super important to understand as you're heading all the way back to that first creek crossing, except for you're on the other side of the street here, of the gravel here, and this is the most technical creek crossing. Multiple riders got hung up coming out of that section, rocks and roots and slick and mud, and then as soon as you get out, you got to dig onto the pavement, and then you are dropping the hammer to finish it out. So pay attention, do the pre-ride like they always offer, make sure you know where you're at, because it's a dead sprint finish on pavement to finish things out. It's an awesome course. It's definitely a little bit more technical, probably the closest to Stokesville in my opinion, in terms of the rocks that you're going to encounter. It's a great trail to ride. Super love riding here. It's the closest trail that my son Forrest and I get to ride all the time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to highlight how awesome the race itself was, highlight all the riders so you know what to look out for, and you can celebrate the riders at VHSS Blue Ridge School.